I'll whisper it quietly. Norwich City are improving. That's the view from most fans anyway. We'll check whether it's the view of these fans. Welcome to Where Canaries Walk. It's the most comprehensive and quickest view of all things Norwich City on the internet, and we're delighted you have joined us. Welcome to Where Canaries Walk. It's bank holiday weekend, so we're minus a few numbers, but we've got the two that count, of course. Owen and Matty, welcome both. And let's kick off. Hey, Owen, Norwich are getting better, aren't they?
Yeah, it's really good to see. Week after week, we're seeing a slight improvement. Hopefully by Christmas, we'll have won the league.
What a difference a week makes. Welcome to Where Canaries Walk. If you've just found the channel, drop us a subscribe. It really massively helps us, and we'll be very, very grateful for it. Right, 20 minutes to talk about, Matty, the Sheffield United game. We're also going to look ahead to the Coventry game. We're also going to talk about deadline day signings, and without asking you, what's the best deadline day signing that Norwich have ever made, or deadline week anyway? You can also put in the words as well, but drop it in the comments below. Who's been the best single deadline day signing that Norwich has ever made? And we'll ask Owen and Matthew for their thoughts on that in a second. We're also going to talk about some of the signings which we've seen come in and out at Norwich. We're also going to talk about just how good Doyle has been since he has signed. Because actually, Matty, it's the two most impressive players for Norwich this season so far have been the new signings, haven't they? In Ghanaian Forson and City's Doyle. Is that right?
Yeah, Doyle looked a real player yesterday. It wasn't yesterday, on Saturday. He looks composed. He looks calm, but he also looks like he thoroughly enjoys a tackle. He's kind of like a bit of everything that you want in a left-sided centre half as well. He's left-footed, so there's a nice balance as well. So yeah, looks like a brilliant signing. I appreciate, he's not going to be at Norwich forever, but in terms of kind of the impact that he's required to make and is already making, he's dare I say, looks head and shoulders above anyone that we've got that can play that position. For now, we haven't seen much of Cordoba, but yeah, he looks promising.
It says it all, doesn't it? Okay, all right, Owen. Let's go through the positives then. Give us who impressed, what impressed you about the Sheffield United result.
I think Sienat, with what we saw, was very limited. He's only been added recently, but I think what he did show was a bit of promise, a couple good touches in the first half especially, but he was missing that final one or two passes, getting it through the final third.
Okay. Matty, I'll ask you for the opposite then. Who do you blame for their goal, and anything glaringly obvious to you as a fan that still isn't working?
I know it's like a broken record, but it's going to take time. I'm not too concerned about our defensive performance. We're still a bit shaky defensively. Going forward, we looked good again. I think we are getting better every week, and like Owen's just mentioned about having the league won by Christmas. But I think in terms of that sort of natural progression that we're seeing, it's good. But on the flip side, I am still concerned by the fact that if Duffy's going to play because he's right-footed and Doyle's left-footed, up against, it worked on Saturday because he was up against Kiefer Moore and he's that physical sort of old-fashioned striker. But in terms of kind of someone who's going to maybe run in behind, and if all I would do is target Shane Duffy, who can't move very well or very quickly, and you've got the run at him. So that is still my kind of area of concern. But it will be interesting to see what happens if we were to bring anyone else in. I don't think we will in that position, but certainly when Cordoba's up and running and fully fit, then it'll be interesting to see what sort of headache that Johannes Hoftorp has.
Yeah. Some fans were disappointed with a point in the end and felt perhaps you might have had all three. When we asked the Blades fans, they said no, a point was definitely the fairest result. What's your view on that?
First half, I thought they were pretty, I wouldn't say dominant, but better than us at most things. Then second half, we completely flipped that and we did dominate them. They barely had a chance second half. So I think looking at the second half, we definitely deserved 3. But the match as a whole, I think a point is fair. I wouldn't have wanted a loss.
Fair enough then. Here's some takes from the game. Most of them were positive. I struggle to find any critique this week which suggests Norwich are getting better. Here's my take. Shane says no win in 3, but beaten at home in 19. You forget, don't we, Matthew, that going back into last season as well, it is still Fortress Carrow Road, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice record. It's a good thing to have because it's one of them things that might sound cliche, but the longer it goes on, the more it becomes a factor in teams coming to Carrow Road and them thinking, they're obviously a difficult team to beat or to take anything from at home. So, psychologically, it's a nice thing to have in our back pocket as well. So, we were, as much as I was disgruntled with David Wagner in charge last season, we did have a decent record at home and fair play to him for that. And off Torwich continued it. So that's good and long way to continue.
Owen Patrick Chapman says, good point and effort against one of the best teams in the league. Early days for the manager to make a real impact, but it looks a lot better than last season already, in my opinion. So, comparing this football to what you saw last season, are you happy with the direction it's going in?
Absolutely. It is something that will take time to see more of, but the slight glimpses we've seen in the past couple of weeks, it's all building up. But we can definitely see major improvement.
And of course, you knew this was going to come up, Matty. Progress has been made. If you think back to the game against Oxford, good point against the team. Just hope Josh Sargent is around this time next week. This is the daftest question that I'll probably ever ask you this year, but what's going to be the impact if Josh Sargent was to leave in the next 4 days?
It would be quite. I don't want to go as far as to say disastrous, but it would be quite. The boat would be well and truly rocked. We don't need to sell him. This is the positive way that I'm looking at it. We don't need the money now. We've got rid of Jonathan Rowe. We've got rid of Sarah for good money. We don't need to be shipping Sargent out for 15-20 million. So. Fingers crossed. We might bring another name in. I don't know, another head in. But the best thing we could do, as far as I'm concerned, is keep hold of Sargent. That would be the best transfer that we could. Best bit of business we could do is to keep him and maybe even tie him down for a slightly longer contract or something like that, just to drive the price up if it ever did happen. So that's the best thing we can do. I reckon in this next few days is to keep hold of him.
We'll talk about Rowe in a second. But Owen, the player hasn't made any noises of leaving, as far as I can see. So where has this come from? Is this speculation, or is this something deeper than what perhaps the media has been reported to?
I'm not too sure where it's coming from. I've not seen too much of anything concrete. Just
the rumour mill.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about other ones then. Fingers crossed Sargent is still here, because it would be amazing to lose those 3 players in one window. The final fee for Johnny Rowe, Matty, we understand it to be around 17 million to Marseille. I mean, personally, I think it's a ridiculous move for him for his career, but that's the decision he's made to play in the Farmers League. 17 million. You've had their pants down with that, haven't you?
Yeah. Do you know last week when I was saying about Adam Eder and how the hell we've managed to negotiate all that money for him? Jonathan Rowe, I get a bit more. There's a bit more of an attractive kind of, he's that bit younger, he's that bit more exciting. But to get that money from having one good season, part of which was injured, so he didn't even play the full season. I'm not gobsmacked, but I'm shocked that we've got that much for him, because I think Leeds were originally sniffing off. I think there was a rumour of 7 or something that was being touted. So to get that whack for him is we're not complaining. It's sad when you see sort of promising players go, but at the same time, I'm very much of the opinion that you shouldn't have players who don't want to be there. And I think Hoftorp's come out and sort of done similar sort of with Kamara since. He's kind of, there's been a few rumours of as he put transfer request in, does he not want to be there? And Hoftorp seems to be kind of not one striking you out, but very much kind of you only want players that are going to play for the shirt. So will we miss Jonathan Rowe? Maybe in the short term, but I think there's the big thing with this is there'll be other Jonathan Rowes, but there's only one Norwich City, and I know that might sound a bit cliche, but there's no player bigger in the club. So if we can ship someone who doesn't want to be there and get that money for them, then fair play.
Yeah. And as Sunderland fans have been using it to compare the 15 million they got for Jack Clark and saying, well, if Rose was 17, then Jack Clark is definitely worth a lot more than the 15 that they got from. I still got some names then that are coming in. Owen and Matty, either of you can take this. I'm not sure either of you will know too much about your signing. So the under-21 international striker has come in. No, I'm not going to have a go at pronouncing this one. There's less vowels in it. Okay, Sinek. Yeah, no idea. What do we know about him, Owen?
Not an awful lot. It is a mystery name to, I think, most Norwich fans. I think that's safe to say. But I think it's one that we can be excited about, as we've seen his previous club put out a tweet saying that they're sad to see him go and wishing him luck in the future. I think for them to put that effort in, it is nice from that club. It sort of hypes up the player a bit more.
All right. Competition anyway, I suppose. He might be your main striker this time next week. Who knows? And then Matty. Oh, now here we go again. Oscar Schwartz. We should please sign some players. What do we know about Oscar?
We want some Brexit signings like John Smith, don't we? Again, a bit of an unknown quantity. Obviously, someone that Hoftorp knows, better than we do. Do you know what though? Irrespective of where these players have come from and what position they might play, the biggest thing for me is that we're signing young players. We brought in, much to quite a few of the fans' bemusement, I think, the likes of Duffy, the likes of Ashley Barnes. So, it's good having seasoned the pros. But when we were successful with Daniel Farker at the helm, we had a lot of young players, and I'm not wanting to harp back to those years too much, but there was something to kind of get behind. There was something to be, very much inspired by, and sort of take those young lads and kind of, for Farker to put a lot of trust in them like he did was really nice to see it pay off. And hopefully Hoftorp's going to do similar with these sort of players that he's bringing in, and he's promoted players from the existing academy as well. So, irrespective of how much game time these lads get right here, right now, if they're ones for the future, I think the fans can get on board with it.
Yeah, that's his reputation, isn't it, for developing youth as well. All exciting times then at Norwich, except your next trip is away at Coventry, which we'll have a chat about now. Your record at Coventry is actually very good. The Coventry fans often, when asked what fixture they want to win this year, after Preston away, which they never win it was Norwich at home, because they never seem to beat you. 2008, I think, was the last time that they've picked up 3 points in the league against you. Owen, this is I think of all the 12 games this weekend, this is the hardest one to call. Would you take a draw in this one, or do you actually need to push for your first win?
I would like to see a first win, but I'm not sure I can say that we need it in this game. I think this is too tough of a fixture to say that we need a win in this one. But I think a well-played draw would be something satisfiable.
Devil's advocate on that one, Matty. They lost to Stoke. They should have lost to Bristol City. They weren't good in that game. They only just beat Oxford through a mistake by one of their players in the 90th minute. So surely, if Norwich have aspirations, they should be looking to win at the CBS.
Yes. Let's just leave it at that. No, I won't be upset if we draw. However, I would like to see. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the League Cup. There's going to be changes made, and it's kind of a bit of an unknown quantity. I'm not as bothered about that. Like, if we can put like a strong 11 out on Saturday, and if we can get a fairly convincing win, then I think, you'd see that sort of trajectory from Oxford, where it was kind of, I almost feel like it was Hoftorp sort of playing some of the players like, well, he's continued to play Duffy, but, Grant Hanley and Fashionact, and he's almost gone and said, this is what the card I was dealt with, but these lads aren't the future sort of thing. They've been beaten 2-0 there, and then we've improved week on week. And if we can kind of go from that real low point to like gradually progressing to a win against Coventry, and then I think that will be a very respectable, not an ideal first month of fixtures, but it shows the progression, which is maybe sooner than some fans might have expected it. So I'll be ambitious, I'll be bold, and let's say we'll go and win on Saturday.
Sheffield United fans were actually very impressed with Norwich that we spoke to earlier. So I think I might even put some money on this one. You're not going to lose it anyway. I kind of. All right then. Before we do finish, we asked you for your best ever deadline day signings. Owen, for this to be a great window for Norwich, before we get into that question, what needs to happen in terms of personnel? Any more signings before Friday for us? Make this a 10 out of 10 window for you.
It's one that's been said already in this today, but it's keeping Josh Sargent. That's the main one. I think seeing a holding midfielder in the doors would be massive, to be honest.
Matty, anything to add to that list? Keep Sargent, holding midfielder. Anything else missing?
No, that's actually a very good point Owen makes. And I'll be honest, hold my hands up, one I kind of forgot about actually. But yeah, holding midfielder. There's this kind of running joke almost. It's not funny, but a running joke around Norwich that we never replaced Alex Tetty. We kind of did with Oliver Skip, but he was only a loan signing, and we never, either kept hold of him or replaced him. So yeah, for me, if we could get someone else in, their goal on Saturday is a perfect example. I feel like a holding midfielder would come out and maybe stop that and be a little bit more aggressive in the block. So if we could get a proper defensive midfielder, your the championships version of Claude Makelele, then I'll be a very happy boy.
Okay. All right then. What's the best signing then that Norwich have made in the final week? I'll throw this open to any of you, or the worst.
The worst. Did we sign? Go on.
Did Ivo Pinto sign around about deadline day? I seem to remember that he came in just. I've got memories of just before the window closed. Yeah. That might be one that somebody in the comments is going to correct me on.
Do you know what others? Though? Norwich fans liked him. Well, not all of them, but because he liked. There was this whole pitch war, Yellow Army thing. Like the fans seemed to take to him. Do you know what I was going to say? Actually, you said about worst ones. Van Hooijdonk, I think he was a deadline day signing, and I thought I would go like this is the guy who's going to come in on loan and make a real impact, and. I don't know if it wasn't. I mean, again, I was critical of Wagner, but to defend him, I don't know if it wasn't his signing or what. But the guy didn't look like a footballer, and I really wanted it to work for him. But honestly, he was. I won't be rude about him, but he wasn't the one. So he's up there for me for one of the worst, I think.
Any more to add to that, Owen?
No, I think Hooijdonk's the one that sprang to mind. Yeah.
All right. If you could beat Pinto for the best and Hooijdonk for the worst, comment below. And thank you so much for joining us on this brand new Norwich City channel. We know there's loads of content you could choose to watch, but we're so grateful for you to choosing to watch this one as compact and as quick as it is. Next week obviously we're going to review the Coventry result and talk about left backs and right backs, and obviously get these guys to mark out of 10 how good the transfer window has been overall. Fingers crossed we haven't got the American flag being taken down from these two bedrooms next week. Thanks for joining us on Where Canaries Walk. See you next week.